And she's organised a pop-up market called Not Just for Vegans. Welcome, Carly. How are you?
I'm very well, very excited. Thank you for getting in touch.
I love the name Not Just for Vegans. Where did this name come up for? Because I'm sitting there going, what does that mean, Not Just for Vegans?
Well, weirdly enough, I actually bought this domain name 3 years ago when I just have, the way I am is that I don't feel like vegan choices are just for vegans. They're for everyone, so it doesn't have to be just for us. You know, there's so many lovely products and great foods out there, especially now. So I really wanted to feed that concept out into not the vegan world, but, you know, for everyone, because everyone can make a difference.
Okay. So tell me, when does this pop-up take place, and is it brand new? Have you just started it?
Yeah, so basically it started because my brand is Not Just for Vegans, and this is the Not Just Vegans market, which has kind of evolved from a community network that I run called Vegans Entrepreneurs Middle East.
Yeah.
So I created a network for like-minded businesses who sell vegan products to get together and network and have some decent content to feed to them. So that kind of naturally evolved in the market.
So I'm assuming you were never a vegan to start with when you were born, right?
No, not at all.
So where did that shift come? How did it start?
I think I've always been someone who has a lot of vegan or vegetarian meals, and I changed over 7 years ago. I found that maybe the quality of meats over here wasn't particularly great, so I just didn't enjoy it. But I think the biggest thing was when I got my dog, and it was just a case of what makes her different from any other pet or animal. So that triggered something for me, and I just did it overnight. Literally, just said to my mum, "That's it." And but the food part was the easy part.
Yeah, you know, you're right. My friend, she saw a documentary, came back, and literally overnight she became a vegan. And to this day, 2 years later, she still is. And I used to eat a lot of food with her. And being Indian, we have a lot of vegetarian food, so it's not a massive issue. We can make a lot of dishes. But I noticed I've had dairy milk, cow's milk, all my life. And I recently swapped to almond milk. Now I can't even smell cow's milk. Isn't that bizarre?
No, I completely get that because I was the same. I think in the first 2 weeks of turning vegan, my taste changed because apparently there's a film that goes across your tongue from having dairy all the time. So it does change your taste buds a little bit and make them more sensitive once that film's gone away.
What do you think about this whole vegan life? Do you think a lot of people are just making it a bit of a fad, or do you think... I mean, what do you think about it? Because it's kind of like yoga. Remember, yoga, the true form of what yoga was, has been transformed into a business and a fashion kind of, trend. So what do you think about veganism now?
I don't see it as a fad. I think the thing is the awareness, and it's not just about the animals and the food. It's about, the other impacts we have on the planet of like deforestation, to make crops to feed the animals, and then those animals feed us. So we're kind of putting something else in the middle that doesn't need to happen. I think people are having this awareness not about the animals, but again, the planet. People want to have a more positive impact on the planet, and they can make a choice 2 or 3 times a week to maybe have a vegan meal, because there are so many good vegan meals out there. So, like I said, we can all make a difference. They don't have to go fully vegan, just, make some slightly different decisions maybe.
So what kind of changes have you noticed since you became a vegan, and how do you feel in yourself?
I'm happier. I think I'm more aligned to my, I always used to say I love animals. Well, now I feel like, okay, I live to that standard of truly loving animals. So I just feel happier. I'll be honest, most people feel healthier by doing it. I didn't feel any difference for that. I've always eaten pretty healthy anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's just that contentment in myself.
So do you try and be vegan in every capacity, like whether it's, makeup, products you buy, shoes you buy?
Yeah, everything. So that was the harder part, and that, people should, if they want to change into having vegan products or becoming a vegan, if they want to fall into a label, which I don't think labeling matters, it can be a gradual process. So when I gave up food, I still had my leather handbags for some time until my bags needed replacing, and then I would replace with a vegan bag, which is like my cork leather bags that I've got. and then skincare as and when I needed it. So it can be phased, and I think Google is your saviour. So if there's any food that you're missing, then just Google in your favourite food, whether it be pancakes or something like that. And there's always a vegan version of something.
And do you think Dubai is getting better with the options that we have for veganism?
Absolutely. And I tell you what, in the last 6 months alone, with building the community, there are vegan businesses really, new business popping up all the time, which is amazing to see.
Carly, we have a few questions for you. Are you ready?
I think so.
Here we go. Let's hear from the first person.
So what about plants? Don't they have feelings too?
I always find that this is a funny one because it's usually done by a meat eater, and it's usually just a deflection on what their consumer habits are, because I don't ask them those sort of questions about it. So, yeah, I love that question because it's about that other person. It's not about me and what I'm doing. So,
okay,
yeah.
That's it. You're so right, actually. She's probably a meat eater. That makes so much sense. Okay, we've got another question.
I really want to know why everything that's vegan is just so expensive. Makes no sense.
Well, it depends on where you're shopping, but vegan items shouldn't be more expensive. In fact, you should make a bit of a reduction if you're buying things like tempeh or tofu, lentils, peanuts. There's so many different ways of doing it. I think maybe the items that are more expensive I can relate to is sometimes some of the vegan cheeses that are in the supermarkets. And also the mock meats, sometimes they can be quite expensive. And that's quite often because they're imported in.
Yeah, I do also think, sometimes I've been to 1 or 2 vegan restaurants and they are quite expensive as well. And you kind of think, really, do they need to be this expensive? But I suppose it's a restaurant, isn't it? They got overhead. So I kind of put it down to that, I suppose.
Maybe they have less customers. I have no idea. I couldn't even answer that question.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I do feel that the restaurants are being a lot more reasonable out here with the vegan options.
Yeah. Now I do have a question, and I guarantee you this is going to be from a meat eater because I know what the question is. Okay, let's have a listen.
Are beans all you have for protein? You must be sick of them.
It's not, though, although it is one of my favourites. So there are so many different items you can get your protein from. So, I mean, even a large jacket potato, that's got something like 8 grams of protein in it. Even kale, that's around 100 grams, it's got about 4 grams in there. But things like lentils, tofu, nuts, chia seeds, edamame, there are so many different items.
And do you cook a lot at home yourself?
If I've got company, yes. I don't like cooking on my own too much. I'm a bit of a lazy vegan, so I order in quite a lot.
That should be the name of your Instagram page, Lazy Vegan.
Lazy vegan, yeah.
Okay, so we've got another clip. I think this is a funny one. I'm sure it is. Let's have a listen.
Can vegans and meat eaters be friends, even lovers?
I guess that just depends on the individual. I mean, myself, yes. Absolutely. I'm fine and comfortable with someone else's decision. So, yeah, it depends on the individual. But, yes, it's all about the love.
It's all about the love. Okay. So tell me about your handbags. Tell me about these vegan handbags because my sister's really into them and I'm really into the vegan makeup. So how did you start that and where can we find them? Will they be at the pop-up?
They will be at the pop-up. So I've got a website which is notjustforvegans.com and it's part of the boutique range that I've got. So these bags are made from cork, which is one of my favourite materials.
I've heard it's so flexible, isn't it?
Yeah, it wears and a bit like a leather does. But the best thing is how sustainable it is because cork is harvested from a cork tree. It's just the bark that's harvested every 9 years. So you don't even chop any of the trees down at all. So it's truly a sustainable material to have.
Yeah, I've heard they make a lot of shoes as well. There's a lot of brands there that make shoes with cork and it's supposed to be very sustainable. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Carly.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Take care.